I'm standing in front of the Unitarian Church in Ottawa. I attended the service today and spoke up during sharing joys and concerns about the fact that the Unitarian Universalist Association of Congregations is falsely accusing me of the archaic crime of blasphemous libel in Bill Cosby-style legal bullying that's clearly intended to intimidate me into removing blog posts about Unitarian Universalists who've been convicted of what Stikeman Elliott, Barristers and Solicitors litigation lawyer, describes as such despicable crimes as pedophilia and rape. So I brought it to the attention of the congregation during the Joys and Concerns section of the service that I was being accused of blasphemous libel. I didn't go into the gory details because I think that might have been a bit too much, but I nonetheless made it clear that I was being accused of blasphemous libel by the UUA for talking about Unitarian Universalist clergy misconduct. I did not even use the term clergy sexual misconduct, I just used the broadest possible term, clergy misconduct. So, following the service, no more than about half a dozen members of the congregation, or I should say people, because some of them weren't even members of the congregation, no more than half a dozen bothered to engage in a free and responsible search for truth and meaning of what I said during sharing joys and concerns by coming up to me and asking more about it. I approached a few people who I thought should be concerned, such as the I can't remember the exact term, but the social concerns committee person or whatever, the kind of person who's concerned about democratic issues and so on, signing petitions and that sort of thing. I approached him, and it turned out that Francis Deverell was in the group that he was chatting with. I had a very, how can I put it, interesting conversation with Francis Deverell, who was in complete denial of any legitimacy of my protest in front of the Unitarian Church of Montreal, who claimed that she totally sided with the Unitarian Church. She even claimed that I would never get justice in this issue. There was another, oh yes, she said that the Reverend Ray Drennan's intolerant and abusive attack on me was nothing, her exact words. So the fact that Reverend Ray Drennan falsely and maliciously labeled an interreligious event that I'd organized as a cult, intolerantly and abusively labeled a religious experience that I was trying to explain to him as your psychotic experience, and angrily demanding that I seek psychiatric treatment for my alleged psychosis. According to Francis Deverell, this is nothing. And essentially she was in total denial of any legitimacy to my protest. She also said that she sided 100% with Reverend Diane Rollert in her seeking of a restraining order against me and so on. She made some very interesting claims. She told me that Reverend Diane Rollert had told her that she'd tried to speak with me on numerous occasions, that she'd sent me emails and so on. This is completely untrue. Reverend Diane Rollert never spoke with me more than once, and I've posted that. Well, actually, she also, when I showed up again to protest, she came out and told me I shouldn't. But there's only 2 occasions when Reverend Diane Rollert spoke with me, and in both instances, she was not open to responsibly dealing with the issues I'm protesting against. And she never responded to my emails, any of them. She never sent me any emails. So for Francis Deverell to claim that Reverend Diane Rollert was saying that she'd spoken to me on many occasions, had sent me emails and so on, like either Francis Deverell is delusional or Reverend Diane Rollert actually told her these things, in which case Reverend Diane Rollert lied to Francis Deverell. As I told Francis Deverell, I said, you can read the emails that I sent to Reverend Diane Roller. They're on the blog. You can see exactly what I said in them. There was no threats against her or anything. And yet Francis Deverell was in total denial of even the slightest legitimacy to my protest. He was totally supported the church in their legal bullying and so on. So just thought I would mention that. Good day, sir.
You got permission to stand here in church property?
Is it church property?
Yes, it is.
Where does church property end?
Right on Richmond Road.
Way down there,
Okay.
and way
This is
over there.
Richmond. This is a Unitarian Church congregation
Right.
property,
Right.
campus they call it, which extends this
Right.
whole area.
Right. I'm not sure I absolutely need permission, but you're standing on it.
I
Yeah,
live here.
we live here.
Right, right.
I live here.
I attended the service.
I know.
Yes, we
I
saw you.
Right.
But
So,
what are you doing here?
I
Are you
am bringing
trying
it
to
to
embarrass people?
No, I'm trying to bring it to your attention that the Unitarian Universalist Association of
Why don't
Congregations.
you go and talk to John, the minister, and give
I
permission?
actually tried to. He sort of snuck out on me. But I spoke to a few other people. I will email John and bring him up to date on things. But this is a thing that anyone who considers himself to be a Canadian Unitarian should be concerned about. Are you a Canadian
Well, that may
Unitarian?
possibly be, but you still have no business being here with the church in the background. I mean, it's very
I actually have
obvious
plenty of
what
business. It's
you're
called
doing.
protesting.
Yeah.
And you can say maybe I shouldn't be on the property.
No, you
but
shouldn't.
but the fact of the matter is that Unitarian Universalist ministers, even top level people like UUA President Peter Morales, regularly go on other people's property deliberately.
Right, we're talking about you, not him.
Right.
You
But what
are
I'm saying
here
is I'm
right
not
now.
doing anything different than Unitarian Universalist
I'm sorry,
clergy
but
do.
this is here and now,
I don't
and
see
you
it,
don't
John.
belong here.
I don't know if he's there. If he's there, I'd like to speak
I'll
with
get
him.
somebody else and probably call the cops and get you out of here.
Well, I'm going to leave in a few minutes, so I wouldn't waste the cop's time. As I said,
And a daycare center, all of this here is not necessarily universalist thing.
right, that's why my camera's pointing towards the church. All you see is the church and me, don't worry. So we got a couple of people objecting to my presence here. And I pointed out to them that, maybe strictly speaking, from a legal standpoint, I don't have permission specifically to do this, and that strictly speaking should be out on the street. But as I pointed out to them, people like Reverend Dr. Peter Morales, numerous Unitarian Universalist ministers, very, very often go on other people's property to protest. In fact, they sometimes go on other people's property to protest deliberately in order to get themselves arrested, in order to, make the news in what I call ersatz civil disobedience. And they even block entry to buildings. I didn't block entry to the First Unitarian Church in Ottawa, or whatever they call it, Unitarian Church of Ottawa. I didn't block entry. I actually went into the service. I very calmly attended the service. I very calmly spoke during Joys and Concerns, speaking about this issue and asking the church to, do something about it. Didn't cause any kind of real disruption. I'm out here, I'm basically just quietly talking about some serious issues. Well, I'm actually talking a bit loud because the camera's a bit of a distance away. But what I'm saying is I'm not making a big scene here. And I'm not blocking the entrance. I'm not, I don't have megaphones or noisemakers or anything. Don't have 20 or 30 people with me. This is a low-end protest compared to things, like what UUA President Peter Morales does. Peter Morales has blocked entry to buildings. Bill Sinkford has blocked entry to buildings, and they do it deliberately in order to get themselves arrested so they make the news. I'm not doing that. So anyway, I think we're more or less done. But it was kind of interesting. These people, they can't even accept that a guy's holding a couple of picket signs on their property and shooting a little video with the church in the background. So on that note, we'll wrap this up. I may start a fresh clip.